It's me, Renee. I'm back. And today it's a bit later than usual, but what have you? But I have a recent reads for you. So yeah, so these are some, I suppose, to be precise, this is a recent Goodreads, recently read good books. So I'm not going to talk about bad books. Well, one of them is kind of both, but most of these are good reads. So I'm not going to talk about trash books and talk about books I don't want to talk about that aren't good. These are all good reading experiences. So starting at the one that I read furthest apart, the longest ago. I read this back in the end of June, so yeah, it's actually around a month ago now. I don't think I have talked about it, so yeah, it is Amelia Westlake Was Never Here by Erin Goff. Yeah. It's Australian YA contemporary, so it's kind of fun to have a book set in Australia. But it's not like very Australian based. It sounds weird. It's not like deeply based in Australia because it's just kind of mentioned that they live in Australia, but it's not like they meet kangaroos and stuff. It's not one of those books. But it's kind of fun to read a book not set in the UK or the US, but in Australia. It's kind of fun. You know what? I'm curious. I'm going to just check. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a Sydney-based author. So yeah. Well, sorry. And it's the author's second book. And yeah. So I found this. I'm not quite sure where it was described this way, but it was described to me on the internet, like to me. It was like I saw it described as for fans of Veronica Mars. So of course, love Veronica Mars, so I had to buy it. And yeah, when I read it, I was like, oh yes, definitely Veronica Mars vibes to it. Because the whole thing is that it's set in high school. There's not a private eye aspect to it, but it's more like going against the man or going against the patriarchy, which I would say, yeah, Veronica Mars was definitely a feminist, is a feminist character. So yeah, so if you like Moxie, Veronica Mars, that kind of stuff, check out this book. It is, to the best of my knowledge, a standalone. And yeah, it's set in a private school where at the beginning they kind of okay, so at the beginning one character is kind of mad about some things at the school, and then one character is kind of thinking like, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's just stuff happens. You have to think of the bright side and stuff. But then stuff hits the fan, and there are two characters that meet and then decide to make some change, and they do, and yeah, uh, quite a great little book. Well, it's a huge book, but yeah, a great read about taking down a patriarchy and there's queer representation in both sides. Both of them are no, one is lesbian and one is bi, and yeah, just a very good read. It'll make you empowered, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you smile, it'll make you angry, it'll give you all of the feels. So yeah, if you want a book like that, check out this book. Then we have an extraordinary, a story of an ordinary princess. As you can see, this is a comic book. I don't read them often, but I read them sometimes. I read this last week while on vacation, and yeah, I really liked the story. Duh. Um, it's kind of very much based around what are you gonna do if you're if you're destined to be ordinary. So Basil, the main character, Basil, she's a princess, but she's an ordinary princess in a way that all her sisters have gifts from fairy godmothers. One has the gift of music, one has the gift of beauty, etc., etc. But Basil got the gift of being ordinary, and so she's just kind of she's not good at anything. She's just kind of ordinary. She just doesn't really stand out, and that's kind of where the book starts. And yeah. I'm not gonna say anything more because it's fun to go into things blind. But yeah, I very much enjoyed this comic book. So yeah, recommend it. Then we have the kind of iffy book. It is Ayuadi on Ayuadi, Cinematic Odyssey. So Richard Ayuadi, he's famous from playing one of the characters on IT Crowd. He's also made some movies. He's acted in other stuff, and he's written a few books. This, I'm pretty sure it was his first book. I think, yeah, I think it was the first book. Yeah, it came out in 2014. I have had it for a while, as you can see. I did read it I did read it at the beach, so it kind of got some beach feel to it. I mean, yeah, yeah. So it's good. So the concept, because there's a concept in this book. The concept of it is that Alvari is enjoying himself. So it's an autobiography, but it's kind of with a twist because it's not like it's not very accurate. Like some places, it's kind of dramatized and kind of like there's mentions of aliens and stuff, and like that not everything in this one is 100% correct. But it's entertaining, though sometimes it kind of gets a bit meta and a bit too much. So like this is kind of like the main part. This is the main part, and then the last 100 pages is just kind of like extra stuff, like extra stuff that's kind of extra to the book. So like 100 pages of extra. Do you need that? But yeah, I did enjoy it, but it got a bit too much, too weird now and then. I would say like it's an absurd book here and there. But it's a non-fiction autobiography of interview with Ayari about by Ayari, and yeah, I suppose it's a book you want to pick up. You might pick up if you want something weird because it's definitely weird. If you want weird but also quick, it's not that big. So and also because it's written in interview style, it's kind of easily fast read. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with this book. It wasn't awful. It's not amazing. It wasn't. It was an experience. It was entertaining experience, and absurd. I would describe it definitely. Then we have Atlas von Scheller, which is maps or brilliant maps. So it's just kind of a collection of different maps, and then there's also like like some information about them. And some of these are kind of like I don't really understand these maps. Like maybe I was too dumb for it. But like some maps are kind of like interesting. But I think maybe it was an interesting read. I mean there is a introduction here, and I really kind of liked about how because this started as a web page and then became a book. And I kind of liked how they talked about a web page and how the author Ian Wright kind of liked maps and he liked walks, and then walks he kind of needed maps, and then he started being interested in maps and sharing maps on Twitter and on blog, and yeah, I liked it. But yeah, it's an interesting read. Also, I'm kind of like curious, how would you categorize this book? I mean, it's non-fiction, but it's because it's actual maps. But like, because it kind of feels in a way like a coffee table book, because it's not like some non-fiction books. It's kind of about this thing or that's this person. This is about maps, so it's about everything. It's about a lot. It's about a lot of stuff, I suppose. Well, maybe I suppose you could say it's about society in a way. But like, it's not like because it's just lots of small maps. It's not like you need to read them in order. So I kind of feel like it's a coffee table book, but I also feel like coffee table books should be huge books, and this one is small. So I suppose you could just call it a small coffee table book. Do you have like an idea how you would classify this book? Maybe not. If you do, I'm interested into your thoughts on that subject because yeah, curious. I read The Stand-In by Lily Chu. This is let's say why it's an adult romance. I found it in the store, like I hadn't heard about it at all. It looked fun and sweet and romantic. Put it up. It's all about these two people. All about these two people. Okay, so it's all about blah blah. Gracie Reed, who in the very beginning she gets mistaken for a Chinese actress who's called uh, blah 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 Wei Fangli, and so she gets this chance to like pretend to be Wei because Wei kind of wants she wants a break, and then shenanigans happen. Well, shenanigans, love and shenanigans, I would say, happen. It's not like a shenanigan full like book. I suppose that's kind of where the book starts, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not like a new favorite, but okay. So this is get it, this is the debut book by this author. I'm thinking I might pick up more by this author. It's not a favorite read, like all-time favorites, but it was an enjoyable read. I definitely enjoyed it. So 4.5, I think maybe around that, or yeah. Yeah, I would say like I would recommend it. Like if you want a nice little romance to read in the sun or just like anytime, I would say check it out. It's an enjoyable read. Not life changing, but enjoyable. So yeah. Then we have Payback's a Witch by Lena Harper. So this book I think came out last year. Yeah, last year. I kind of think it kind of went around BookTube and BookNet last year. And then yeah, I didn't read it before now. And I kind of thought, I can't read this Witcher book. So I did. I read it at the beach. So you see it's kind of beached. So it's kind of yeah, you kind of notice it. And yeah, the main character is bisexual, so that's yeah, interesting. And it's kind of based around this small town in the United States where there's witches and there's different family of witches and there's kind of they have a witch competition every year, a few years, every year. They sometimes have a competition, and the person who wins the competition gets kind of power and fame and stuff. So yeah, there's also love involved in this book. So it's both love, but also competition, and also like changes to like life changes. Like just the main character, just maybe she wants to stay in this town because okay, so she's from this town. She comes back for this competition, but she lives in Chicago, and she's like, do I may want to move back, or maybe not. So I would say like it's all about changes. I would say that, like, if you like the movie Practical Magic, read this book. It's kind of giving me the same vibes in a lot of ways. So yeah, that was my recent read video. I hope you enjoyed it. Quick little video. And if you have any thoughts or comments on any of these books, please talk to me down below. And I'll see you in a few days. Bye.